Part 28. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 271. The player clears the 21st floor of the Azura SSSS level and is rewarded with the human buff Rolling Thunder in the Eternal Tower. Limited time buff left and right bow. Eternal Tower human race can hold different weapons in both hands, regardless of equipment restrictions, limited to 6 hours. Limited time buff Sweeping Weakness. After the death of the human race in the Eternal Tower, they will not enter the weak period after returning to the Eternal Core City. It is limited to 6 hours. Limited time buff Experience Improvement. The Eternal Tower human race gains add 20% experience, limited time is 3 hours. Rolling Thunder. When releasing Thunder skills, there is a 15% chance of repeated casting, limited to 6 hours. A white light flashed, and Yebai's figure appeared in the Eternal Core City. Give me a 4's rating, no refund if you are not satisfied. The content of the 21st level is very simple, it is the traditional monster killing and upgrading. After spending an hour and a half, Yebai raised the exploration level to 100%, and at the same time, he also raised himself to level 221. At least I can get a 4's rating tonight. Yebai didn't look at the attribute panel for the time being. He would just wait until the end of the game tonight to summarize it together. He and King Huotian agreed to fight 3 games in a row. Before the fight, Yebai had planned it. These 3 battles can buy Yebai up to 72 hours. In other words, before the 3rd battle, Yebai can raise his level to level 300 and find a way to complete the 2nd awakening of his talent. Until then, Yebai's combat power seems to have not changed much. An authoritative survey shows that the average increase in combat power during the 2nd awakening is 14,568%. Yebai ignored the boast of the Eye of Insight. 4's cleared the 21st floor, and Yebai hadn't waited for his personal reward. But I waited for the 5's personal reward of the 20th floor first. Complete the 20th floor with a 5's rating and get the reward Arctic Lake *1. Complete the 20th floor with a 5's rating and get the reward Arctic Village *1. Complete the 20th floor with a 5's rating and receive the reward River of Blood *1. After the personal rewards were distributed, Yebai immediately returned to his exclusive space to check the situation. In a dedicated space, Dracula was arming himself with a Western man in his prime, calling them brothers and getting along with each other. Norman, you have come to the right place when you come here. What about 996 exploitation, overtime bonuses, and boss vampires not being human beings? We don't have any of that here. Standing behind Dracula, Yebai was thoughtful. Was Dracula scolding him? Ahem. After coughing twice, Yebai walked up to the 2 of them and took a look at the extremely cold lake and village. The extremely cold lake is located in the north of the exclusive space. It is quite large and has tens of thousands of slopes. The lake is blue and calm. Son of Salvation, we meet again. Norman bowed respectfully. After breaking the curse of reincarnation, Norman also returned to his prime appearance. There are hundreds of villagers in the extremely cold village, fishing is their main occupation. They gather in the village and look at it from a distance without getting closer. So many people. Jack, take care of it. Werewolf Jack quickly arrived on the scene. Yebai casually ordered. Those who are willing to work must sign a labor contract and everything will continue as usual. Villagers who are unwilling can also exchange daily necessities to ensure the most basic survival. After the exclusive space is connected to the Eternal Core City, you can choose to stay or leave. Clear. Yebai didn't have to worry about the village affairs. He already had many migrant workers here, so everything was covered. Miners, dwarves, werewolves, vampires, mushrooms, demons. The ingredients are quite complex. Yebai is more concerned about the other 2 rewards. Extremely cold lakes and rivers of blood. Extreme cold lake, there are not only fish in the lake, but the most important thing is all kinds of rare treasures. What they have in common is, they can all help you strengthen the Shura Sea. Yeah, bye. What a good thing. With the extremely cold lake, Yabai doesn't know how much money he can save. He wished he could fish in the extremely cold lake 24 hours a day, it was all money. Get it? Get it? Let him catch it? Withdrawing his burning gaze, Yabai looked at Dracula. A river of blood, do you want it? Dracula had a slight smile on his face. Dear master, do you believe me if I say I don't want to? What is the river of blood? Translate, translate. Before Dracula spoke, Yabai emphasized. Think it through before talking. Dracula's face turned slightly solemn and he said slowly. The strongest being in the vampire clan is called the Ancestor, and it is rumored that he is a true god. But I guess the Ancestor probably failed to become a god, or in other words, he was still 1 or 2 steps away from becoming a god. It was rare for Dracula to be honest, so Yabai motioned for him to continue. The so-called river of blood is essentially the same thing as your master, the Sea of Shura. After the vampire became a duke, he opened up a river of blood and used its power to fight. After becoming a prince, which is what the human race calls the god of war, he can be resurrected through the river of blood, etc. After briefly introducing the function of the river of blood, Dracula changed the subject. In the distant past, I'm sorry I can't remember the day, the river of blood of all the prince-level vampires went out of control. The river of blood tries to turn us into its slaves. Yabai frowned, the loss of control is related to the ancestor of the blood clan. Right. Dracula nodded. 4 words, clear grievances. A white light flashed, and Yabai disappeared from the spot and rushed to the 22nd floor of the Eternal Tower. Facing such a precious river of blood, there was only one reason why Dracula showed such restraint. He figured out Shura's thoughts. This long river of blood in front of you is enough to drive all vampires crazy. I digress, let's talk about the river of blood that just appeared in the exclusive space. Yabai can borrow this river of blood in battle. Although Shura is a colorful black man, his principles of dealing with things are very simple. However, Yabai is still a human being after all, and has no intention of turning himself into a vampire, he is just borrowing it. These hidden dangers are not a problem on weekdays. Some people also say that this is the result of the failure of the ancestor to become a god. After the failure, the ancestor did not allow any vampires to threaten his status, polluted the river of blood, and tried to turn all powerful vampires into his slaves. As you wish. This river of blood in front of you can completely solve Dracula's problem. He is far less calm than he appears on the surface. Keep an eye on the prisoner. I'll continue to break through the barrier and come back to deal with it when I'm done. After watching River of Blood, Yabai had nothing else to do for the time being and patted Dracula on the shoulder. As long as he, Dracula, works with peace of mind, this long river of blood will be in his pocket sooner or later. So much for the little bit of history. Second, it is the origin of the blood river that the ancestors have been pursuing, and the key to the blood race becoming a god. No matter what the outcome is. Summoned to assist in combat, it can increase the maximum blood volume by 50 million, increase the life recovery speed by 200%, and increase the therapeutic effect by 100% and other positive benefits. Some people say that this is one of the symbols of the ancestor becoming a god, and the ancestor will become the master of all vampires. First, it is one of the few rivers of blood that has not been contaminated by the ancestors. Yabai crossed his hands, tapped his right index finger on the back of his left hand a few times, and said softly. At that time, Dracula was also one of the victims of the Blood River riots, and he had many hidden dangers that could not be solved. At the end of the sentence, Dracula's voice trembled slightly. but once he faces a high-level vampire, or even the ancestor himself, Dracula will be defeated instantly. At the same time, add 100% light damage. I wish you can clear the Eternal Tower as soon as possible. Yabai glanced twice and did not make any comment on Dracula's guess. I have two guesses about the origin of this long river of blood. Too much guesswork and too little useful information. It sounds like something a vampire could do. Dracula smiled apologetically and led Yabai to the bottom floor of Evernight Castle, pointing to a red stream circulating next to the coffin. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 272. Eternal Tower. The 22nd floor. A white light flashed, and Yabai appeared in front of a mirror. He glanced to his left, then to his right. The 22nd layer is also called the mirror layer. At this level, there is a special rule. When doing any action, you must make a mirror action within the specified time, otherwise you will be punished accordingly. The injury can range from losing blood to losing blood, or the exploration level will be deducted and you will be eliminated directly. Yabai's figure appeared in the mirror, and soon disappeared, fading along with the mirror. A wave of mobs 230 meters behind and to the left. Yabai raised his right hand and released a thunderbolt to the left rear, killing him instantly. After waiting for a few seconds, he raised his left hand again and released the thunder in the open space behind him, striking the empty space. This rule is quite interesting. After dealing with the first wave of mobs, the entire marble beneath Yabai's feet floated. Marble took Yabai and flew around in the space, and at the same time, monsters were randomly refreshed in the space. The existence of the mirror rule determines that if Yabai takes a step forward, he needs to take another step back. In other words, during the entire process of breaking through the level, Yabai actually couldn't leave the place for too long and had to return to the marble as soon as possible. Moreover, this level of exploration is obtained by killing monsters. The total number of monsters is fixed, and killing them all will result in 100% exploration. After a monster is refreshed, it must be killed within a limited time. Otherwise, when the monster disappears, this part of the exploration will be lost forever. Mirror rules, suspended displacement platforms, and limited time monsters. The superposition of the three factors caused the difficulty of the 22nd floor to skyrocket. Historically, only Nightmare and Wuhan have reached the SSS level on the 22nd floor. You know, even if some geniuses try their best at other levels, they still have a chance to pass at SSS level. It can be seen that the difficulty of the 22nd floor is very high, and it is difficult to clear the level with full exploration. Even Yabai, who had just entered the 22nd floor, was a little uncomfortable. The Eye of Insight will give the monster's spawn location and time, and Yabai quickly plans the most efficient killing sequence and the simplest operation. After getting over the initial discomfort, Yabai entered a state of extreme immersion, and every movement was precise. He even gradually ignored the prompts from the Eye of Insight. There is no need to know the spawn of monsters in advance, Yabai can still perfectly handle the situation in front of him. Yabai's operations became more and more frequent, and monsters fell one after another under the bombardment of his various skills. Reach for the stars. Wins infinite distance. Spark. In fact, on the 22nd floor, previous clearance strategies have repeatedly emphasized simplicity and efficiency. If you can kill instantly with one move, don't use a second move. Mirroring rules require that all previous behaviors be replicated within a limited time. The operation is all fancy, and the image reproduction is full of problems. Isn't this looking for trouble for yourself? After Yabai entered a state of selflessness, his mind was empty and there was no more distracting thoughts. Just throw away all the shackles of dogma and just do whatever you want. It happened to be done perfectly, and the penalty of mirroring rules was not triggered even once. At the same time, the degree of exploration is also increasing crazily. 10%, 25%, 46%, 90%. Boom. The previous magic mirror appeared again, split into countless fragments, and monsters rushed out of each fragment, swarming up and trying to tear Yabai into pieces. This is also the most difficult part of this level. There are too many monsters, and it is easy to get confused and fail to operate. Mirror, shadow. Yabai, who was in a state of selflessness, naturally closed his eyes and slashed out with a casual blow. This feeling is very familiar. It's like I just experienced it yesterday. Shadow elements emerged around Yabai, and there were more and more shadows under his feet. Every shadow imitates Yabai's movements while causing damage to the enemy. There are 9 dark shadows. The number of shadows no longer increased, but began to merge with each other. After the 9 shadows were reunited, Yabai opened his eyes and rushed forward. Reach for the stars. The shadow under his feet did not follow Yabai's steps, but rushed in the completely opposite direction. Reach for the stars. The figures are separated. During the 0.5 seconds when star reaching stopped, Yabai held the Heavenly King's sword and killed everyone, and so did his shadow. 0.5 seconds later, Yabai finished picking stars and returned to the original place, and the figures merged into one. The Eye of Insight intimately reminded. No mirroring required. If you can't help me in times of need, I'll be the icing on the cake. Yabai raised the corners of his mouth slightly and smiled lightly. Just draw the sword. Reach for the stars. The wind is infinite. Open the wound. Stop the water flow. In an instant, there seemed to be countless figures fighting in the space, drawing swords and slashing. Boom. Countless figures reunited, Yabai returned to the original place, the Heavenly King's sword was sheathed, and he no longer took action. The next moment, bleeding lines appeared on countless monsters, and their bodies began to disintegrate little by little. Boom. Current exploration degree, 100%. Yabai did not settle the matter immediately, but looked at his own shadow. During the previous fight, Yabai realized it. Enlightenment is coming. This enlightenment is a beautiful thing. After realizing all things are born, Yabai tasted the happiness of his second brother for the first time, and he couldn't stop from now on. The skills of Epiphany are originally born once and become familiar the second time. Passing this threshold means that the understanding is sufficient. If you want to gain enlightenment again, it depends more on the timing. What's more, Yabai's first enlightenment of the creation of all things was directly integrating the 6 elements. But this time, Yabai was in the state of selflessness, using the mirror to realize the shadow, and using the shadow system alone to realize the method. The difficulty was actually more than 100 times weaker. Yabai looked at his newly learned skills. Skill name, unnamed. Effect, creates a shadow, moves in a completely mirrored movement, and can only imitate physical skills and shadow skills. The shadow inherits 100% of the body's health, causes 60% damage, and withstands 200% damage. When the shadow remains near the main body, it can bear damage for the main body. Consumption, to maintain the existence of the shadow, 3500 MP/second. When the shadow releases skills, the body consumes the same amount of MP. Why does Yabai want to learn to win over the world? Congratulations to player Shura for clearing the 22nd floor of the Eternal Tower at SSSS level. Cooling, none. Calculating customs clearance scores. Yabai is not the second brother who just casually learned the sword to kill the demon war god. But I can't resist my second brother's sword moves. His sword moves are handsome, his sword moves are famous for being the most handsome. If the name of a skill is Dad is on top, be worshipped by the child. Isn't it just because he is handsome? Within 10 kilometers, the body can exchange places with the shadow at any time. Yabai fell into a new entanglement. Putting away the skill panel, Yabai did not name the skill for the time being, but instead summoned the eternal core crystal. Naming is a lifelong matter related to the frequency of skill use, so you can't be careless. The little skills are so awesome that you are not ashamed to be associated with them. That's a wonderful name. It feels even more painful to shout out and hit someone. It's full of charm instantly. Even if he could kill the demon god instantly, Yabai wouldn't hesitate to use it. After the shadow is defeated, the skill enters a 5-minute cooldown. Until he saw his second brother draw a sword, Yabai understood it instantly. The second brother had an epiphany. This skill was originally born under the harsh rules of the 22nd floor, and has its own limitations. This is not a waste. I understand the skill, but how do I come up with a name? Yabai used to be very strange about something. If the name of his skill is mediocre, then it would be fine if he didn't mention it. He can do it in one way or another. In the Eternal Tower, all races received the new notice at the same time, and they were even a little numb. If you can be so handsome, then what does it matter if you are a little more flirtatious? When fighting alone, the most useful thing for Yabai is to save his life and move. 3 minutes of effort is spent on mastering the sword, and 7 minutes of effort is spent on picking a name. After reading the skill introduction, Yabai nodded slightly and could only say that it was okay. To say it is top-notch would be a bit exaggerated. There is life preservation, displacement, and output. Performing better in team battles can double the killing efficiency. Everyone is fighting to the death, why would anyone be willing to shout out the name of a skill while making a move? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 273. The player Shura SSSS clears the 22nd floor and is rewarded with the human race buff Mirror High hanging in the Eternal Tower. Limited time buff Shadow Stealth, Shadow Skill Effect add 50%, limited time 6 hours. Limited time buff Comprehensive Improvement, all attributes of the Eternal Tower human race add 20%, limited time 6 hours. Limited time buff Experience Improvement, the Eternal Tower human race gains add 20% experience, limited time is 3 hours. Mirror Hanging, in the Eternal Tower, the effect when releasing detection skills is add 50%, limited to 6 hours. Yabai returned to his exclusive space again. In less than 3 hours, Yabai got 2 4s ratings in a row, and Yabai was inevitably a little tired. Especially after enlightening the skill, it feels like the body has been hollowed out. Yabai happened to appear next to Master Fool, and Fool was startled. Have you had another epiphany? Yabai said disdainfully, is it strange? You'd better temper yourself. The Fool Master seemed to have something in his words. Yabai was always not ashamed to ask questions, so he immediately asked. How you said that? Before Master Fool could refuse, Yabai added. I will exchange the information about this epiphany skill with you. Live exchange, he emphasized. After all, the newly enlightened skills this time are not as heaven-defying as Wan's Hung, and they are not even a complete trump card. Tell the Fool Master business side. The Fool Master hesitated for a moment, then finally nodded and agreed to the deal. It sounds like she won't suffer. You speak first. When the Fool Master learns to be smart, he will be able to negotiate conditions. Yabai couldn't help but sigh. The world is getting worse, and the devil's heart is not as old as it used to be. I used to be a simple fool, but now I am learned. Yabai showed the skill's introduction to Master Fool in a generous manner. Yabai spread his hands with a helpless expression. Can there be more trust between humans and demons? Master Fool rolled his eyes and said. The Epiphany skill sounds very beautiful, and the power of the first Epiphany skill will be very powerful. But if used improperly, it will not only be of no benefit, but will overdraw the potential. Human inspiration is limited. Yabai nodded slowly. This was the first time he heard the statement. Is too much enlightenment harmful to the body? For example, if you are a painter, you can spend time and effort creating world-famous paintings. You can also draw an egg 1,000 times every day. No matter how you draw it, it will just be an egg. The Fool Master continued to explain. Therefore, I suddenly realized that quality should come first, and quantity should come second. Take your rubbish skills as an example. Yabai, you scold me again. So, your best option is. At this point, Master Fool suddenly stopped and smiled without saying a word. Kevin. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't defeat the Fool Master, Yabai would have gone up with 2 punches. Fortunately, Yabai was prepared and offered his own conditions. You can enter the extremely cold lake, but you can't take away the materials inside. You can only look at it, but you can't touch it. Swear in the name of the strongest, Xiaoyao. Master Fool nodded, no problem. Once again, the two struck a deal. In fact, Yabai is very talented in making deals with others. Use the dark history of nightmares to get rid of Master Ju, use your bare hands to harvest De Menzies wool, and use materials and skills to make money from Lao Su. The Fool Master announced the answer. Your best bet is to control your desire for enlightenment and then try to incorporate more elements into your own skills. When you successfully integrate at least 3 elements, your next enlightenment skill will have endless benefits. Learning is useless, learning is useless. Yabai nodded, indicating that he understood. This idiot master of the demon clan knows quite a lot. Yabai didn't expect that the enlightenment skill would require restraint. Master Ju didn't tell him about this because Master Ju never expected that Yabai would have epiphanies one after another. After all, Master Ju underestimated Shura, the most powerful seed. 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, don't bully Yabakian. Put aside the matter of enlightenment skills for the time being. With the reminder from Master Fool, Yabai will pay attention to the number of times. When he thought of this, Yabai felt that his second brother was more and more fierce. This inspiration seems to be inexhaustible and inexhaustible. After clearing level 4s on the 21st floor, your personal reward is a piece of SS level equipment Golden Dragon Bow. The personal rewards for the 22nd floor have not arrived yet, and the Eternal Tower server has obviously been stuck a lot recently. Obviously, some people will pay a price for their frequent bug fixes. Yabai glanced at it, determined that he wouldn't need it, and threw the Golden Dragon Bow to Master Fool. Didn't you say before that useless SS level equipment will be dismantled for you? Will it be effective in recasting it with the power of nature? Right. Master Fool nodded and explained. The SS level equipment rewarded by the Eternal Tower is actually different from the equipment we build, or, the materials used are more luxurious. Generally speaking, the SS level equipment rewarded by the Eternal Tower, after disassembly, is enough to create at least 3 pieces of SS level equipment of the same quality. In this process, the person who consumes the most is the blacksmith master. Let other human forging masters do the operation. For the handling fee alone, you might have to take away a piece of finished SS level equipment. Yabai has no worries in this regard. The wool of the Fool Master will become white if it is not plucked out. Hearing what Master Fool said, Yabai took out the Arctic Fury and Gluttonous Claw that he had obtained from previous clearance. These 2 pieces of equipment, please also recast them with the power of nature. Smashed in 3 pieces of SS level equipment, assisted by countless precious materials, Shura high dual elements. Yabai paid so much in order to upgrade the power of nature to the SSS level. If this still fails, there is nothing Yabai can do. At this stage, he has done everything he can. Master Fool accepted the equipment and reported the current progress. When it comes to forging, She is very professional and not as shameless as someone else. Azuracy will be able to absorb wood and thunder materials in half a day. After half a day, you send the power of nature over, and I will start the forging, and the finished product can be produced in 1 day at most. After reporting the time progress, Master Fool added. According to our agreement, if the forging is scrapped, I will help you rebuild an SSS level staff at my own expense. I can guarantee that the force of nature that has been successfully reforged will, at worst, be the strongest among SS level equipment. Good. Yabai nodded, indicating that he understood. This is called professionalism. Yabai usually leaves professional matters to professionals. Immediately afterwards, he returned to the Evernight Castle and found Dracula in the dungeon. Yabai asked directly, "Have you prepared his background story?" Dracula shook his head, "Not yet. I tried to extract his soul and found that his memory was chaotic and crazy, but some fragments were extremely real, but completely opposite to my memory. I think there may be something wrong with my memory. There were riots after the Blood River was polluted, and as a prince, I was also affected. Dracula is very honest. Being hammered one after another makes it difficult to be dishonest. He is now in a state that can be manipulated by Shura." Yabai glanced at the vampire prince trapped in the copper coffin. Due to the continuous bloodletting, the prince looked particularly weak. Yabai suddenly asked. "If he stops bleeding for 6 hours, what state can he recover to? Can he be trapped in the dungeon?" Dracula was silent for a moment and gave his answer. "The 4th level prince can trap him. This dungeon has been strengthened by the Fool Master, and it is still very easy to deal with a 4th level prince. And Yabai temporarily lent Dracula the river of blood he had been rewarded for. This gives Dracula a huge advantage in the internal battle of the vampire clan, naturally suppressed by the superior. Okay, help him untie him, I'll need it today." After Yabai finished speaking, he asked. "If he is beaten to death, he can be resurrected, right?" Dracula felt a chill rush to the back of his head, and for a moment he didn't know how to answer. "Listen to yourself, are you speaking human language? Forget it, it doesn't matter." Yabai waved his hand. "If a vampire prince is beaten to death, he will be beaten to death. There is no pity. It would be better for him to be beaten to death than for me to be beaten to death. Dracula. Regardless of whether you are a human being or not, I still have to look at you, Demon Lord Shura. Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 274. Complete the 22nd floor with an SSSS grade score and get the reward Magic Mirror. Yabai is in the process of repairing, and the personal reward from the last floor's level has arrived. SS level special prop Magic Mirror. Magic Mirror, after the Magic Mirror shines on an item, it will create a highly realistic fake. It is difficult to tell the authenticity from the fake and has no actual effect. Note, it can only be used 3 times a day. Items of too high a grade cannot be faked. Looking at the introduction of the Magic Mirror, Yabai had a bold idea in his mind. If you looked at money in a magic mirror, wouldn't it be? Yabai quickly gave up this bold idea. This kind of thing is mostly used to deceive the demon clan. If he dared to use it on the human race, Yabai suspected that Master Ju would draw his sword directly after knowing it. Master Ju is really strict. After putting away the magic mirror, Yabai stretched and began to think about his next plan. 23rd floor. After glancing at the guide, Yabai could only choose to give up. Bad news, the 4 layers 23, 24, 25, and 26 are connected layers. Good news, the level is a giant maze. I seem to hear someone praising my handsome eyes. Yabai still remembered that when he broke into the 3rd floor before, the Eye of Insight directly possessed him, and he even cried out. There are 3 hours left. There is no hope of breaking through. Judging from Yebai's experience, the story behind this kind of connected layer is generally more complicated, and it will most likely take 6 hours to reach the full exploration level. Big Menzi has also gone to the first abyss, and there is no more wool to harvest. Yebai drew his sword and looked around at a loss. For a moment, he couldn't find a single sheep in his sheepfold. Let's go level up. In desperation, Yebai only had one choice left, the 22nd floor. The monsters on the 22nd floor will increase with the level of the level breaker, with the upper limit being level 299. Relying on Yebai's newly learned shadow skills, this level is regarded as a leveling holy land for Yebai. There are nearly 3 hours left. In order to fight against King Huotian, Yebai must step up his leveling. No rewards will be issued for replaying this level. Yebai himself came here for experience, which was not a loss at all. Moreover, during the fight, Yebai felt that he was becoming more and more familiar with the newly created skills. The more familiar he became, the more Yebai was able to realize the shortcomings, and the clearer his ideas for making up for it became. It's just that there's still a long way to go to integrate them again. It's like being separated by a thin veil, making it difficult to see the true face, which makes people anxious. It's still too little pressure. He suddenly realized this skill in order to get through the 22nd level in the state of selflessness. Now that he has the skills in hand, there is no pressure on him on the 22nd floor. The hope of regaining that state again is extremely slim. Yebai didn't force himself, and he couldn't force this kind of thing. After all, he is not a real humanoid self-propelled enlightenment machine, and there is still no way to compare with his second brother. Yebai brushed the 22nd layer 4 times in one breath, which took 2.5 hours. My level has also been raised to 284. Click on the attribute panel. Eternal ID, Shura. Talent, Eye of Insight, SSS level. Level, 284. Occupation, Great Mage of Wrath, Wind Fire Thunder Wood, SSS level. Second occupation, Shura Archmage, Shadow Water, SSS level. HP, 6,254,800/6,254,800. MP, 12,378,900/12,378,900. Strength, 68,581, add 12,141. Intelligence, 145,716, add 10,577. Spirit, 127,891, add 8,641. Agility, 50,749, add 10,034. Physique, 49,467, add 11,571. Luck, 17. Equipment, Power of Nature, Nightmare Wind, Heavenly King Sword, etc. Skills, Creation of all things, Reflection in the mirror, etc. Status, Blessing of Shura Sea, Curse of Poseidon, etc. Due to the existence of the second career template and the bonuses from 3 career changes, Yebai's current upgrade brought about huge attribute improvements. His level up is equivalent to an ordinary person's level up several levels, or even 10 levels. He is less than level 300, and his worst 5-dimensional basic attributes are close to 50,000. The intelligence attribute even exceeded the 150,000 mark in one go. In addition to the thunder skills, the other skills Yebai mastered still relied on their own attributes to cause high damage. Yebai didn't rush to level 300 in one breath. The remaining time was not enough for him to upgrade to level 16, so he could only leave it until tomorrow. Putting away the attribute panel, Yebai looked at the remaining 30 minutes and already had a plan in mind. Summoning the Eternal Core Crystal, Yebai entered a new layer. The 14th floor. A white light flashed, and Ye-Bai returned to the 14th floor and came to the killing monument again. The killing obelisk will have the projection of the top powerhouses of the human race in the past generations. Although projection has no talent, it will have other attribute bonuses, and its fighting style and habits are also close to the same as mine. What Ye-Bai is looking for is not someone else, but King Huo Tianwang. Since we are going to fight Mortal Kombat, it makes sense to practice using a projection first. The question is, what is Huo Tianwang's ID? Ye-Bai neither knows Huo Tianwang's destiny nor his eternal ID. I could only follow the inscription downwards and find it soon. Challenge the best in the world, leave 101, and obtain 27% exploration degree. No need to think about it, it is definitely King Huo Tian. Ye-Bai didn't even need the Eye of Insight prompt and directly selected the opponent. Before entering the killing space, Ye-Bai set some conditions in advance. Old Huo Tianwang belongs to yes. Good morning, Master Zhu. You also want to challenge the world's number one. In terms of combat talents, they can only be copied in a rigid manner, but there is no way to learn and apply them. For a time, the light of swords and shadows were mixed with various spells, and the fight was fierce. Level 90, 90% attributes. In this way, Ye-Bai is equivalent to fighting against Huo Tianwang's projection in an absolutely fair situation. A flash of sword flashed across, and Ye-Bai's eyes were startled. This time, he lowered his level and attributes and increased the difficulty. This message is too strong. Ye-Bai shook his head. A projection is a projection after all. In the end, Ye-Bai was able to defeat the projection with difficulty at level 80 and 45% attributes. Soon, Ye-Bai completely gained the upper hand, suppressed Huo Tianwang's projection, and won easily. Ye-Bai has never heard anyone mention this detail. Attribute limit, 100%. King Huo Tian actually used a knife. No matter how low it was, Ye-Bai's winning rate would be less than 90%, so he didn't try. So, Ye-Bai lost the initiative, but he didn't mess up his position. He just drew his sword and challenged him. Is there a difference? No difference. When the last bit of time ran out, Ye-Bai left the Eternal Tower and returned to Blue Star. The corners of the young man's mouth raised slightly and he chuckled. Sonorous. Are you ready to attack King Huo together? After entering the killing space, Ye-Bai heard a cold snort in his ears. Level 100, 99% attributes. Come again. Half an hour passed in a blink of an eye. Ye-Bai looked at the rising sun outside the window, feeling full of energy. Come again. Fight again, win again. Although Ye-Bai has no talent for projection, Ye-Bai's insightful eye is the same as none. Ever since King Huo Tian escaped from the coffin, he has always relied on boxing to fight the enemy. Why was the projection left at level 101 using a knife? Level limit, level 101. After exiting the killing space, Ye-Bai challenged King Huo Tian again. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 275. Summer Camp, Area C. The training hall looked particularly empty in the early morning, with light black mist constantly pouring out from the corners and surrounding the entire training hall. This is the battlefield agreed between Ye-Bai and King Huo Tian. It was arranged in advance by Yingju, using part of the rules of the Eternal Tower to alienate the space. Even if you die in battle here, you can easily be resurrected. Yingju suspected that without such restrictions, Ye-Bai would not agree to fight against King Huo Tian. Ye-Bai, you're really good at reading people. The dim light of the morning sun could not penetrate the mist, and could only give the training hall a golden glow, making it look somewhat sacred. Unlike the golden glow outside, the dim lights in the training hall kept flashing, and the entire training hall was eerily silent. Only Ye-Bai sat cross-legged on the ground, waiting quietly. Clatter! Clatter! Rhythmic footsteps came, breaking the silence. Ye Bai slowly opened his eyes, a bright light flashing in his eyes. Coming. Two people. One person walked at a smaller pace, trying his best to keep up. He was nervous, flustered, and hesitant. It was Xiaoju. Xiaoju has been following Huo Tianwang. Ye Bai has not figured out his origin yet. The only thing Ye Bai can be sure of is Xiaoju is definitely not the real person of King Huo Tian. Too simple, too clean. It's so clean that it looks like a child walking out of a painting. It's so clean that it's not real at all. Ye Bai had no clue about Xiaoju's weirdness and could only put it aside. The other person's steps are light, his breathing is long, as steady as a mountain, and his momentum is perfect. Sunshine Big Boy Youth Limited Edition Huo Tianwang. Before anyone arrives, the situation has already arrived. Ye Bai couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Huo Tianwang's posture might have been a hero in ancient times, and he could really be known as the best in the world. Even in modern times, it is not difficult for Huo Tianwang to win a world championship in boxing, wrestling, etc. It's a pity that I was born in the era when the Eternal Tower came. What's even more pity is that King Huo Tian also met some incredible figures from different eras. Nightmare is undoubtedly the #1 person, eclipsing everyone of his generation. SSS level talent, master the most powerful mark on the first day after entering the Eternal Tower, kill the son of the 5th demon in the first battle, and stand alone against the most powerful demon. Nightmare has too much aura and legend. What's even more terrifying is that while his personal strength is astounding, a group of people gathered around Nightmare, with Nightmare as the core, and they were determined to follow him to the death. This kind of personality charm is unique to the human race over the past 100 years. Wilhen is too proud, and only Lan Bangxian cherishes each other and stays by his side. Xiaoao, except for a few people like Zhao Qian, Yingju, and Lan Lao. When the other human masters saw Xiaoao, their experience was not very good, and it was easy to leave a psychological shadow. Even if you put your elder brother aside and don't talk about it. In the same era as King Huo Tian, there were also Zhu Ye's sword and Lan Bangxian's sword. The sword made the man unable to breathe. It was an era when hundreds of flowers bloomed and thousands of families contended. Even King Huo Tianwang himself would not say that he was the best in the world. He finally broke through to the Tongtian war god, and Lan Bangxian was temporarily defeated by him. The only competitor was Zhu Ye. If it is a life and death battle between two people, King Huo Tian was 100% sure of beating Yingju to death. However, Yingju won't fight him. Since Yingju was timid, King Huo Tian was unceremonious and started claiming to be the best in the world. King Huo Tian, self-proclaimed #1 in the world, has not yet covered his head. Traceless, born out of nowhere. A sword can make gods and demons all over the sky bow their heads. Dressed in white, he is invincible in the world. Where did he come from to be #1 in the world? Facing the most powerful Wuhan, King Huo Tian had nothing to say. That is really impossible to win. He admits it. When Wuhan exits the stage of history, the strongest Xiaoao quietly appears. This time, Huo Tianwang went to challenge with great interest, determined to at least let the strongest one see his fist as big as a casserole. The results of it? The high tower otaku is so carefree that he lives on the 99th floor without ever coming out. How to fight this? If you want to challenge Xiaoao, the minimum requirement is to reach the 99th floor. Therefore, King Huo Tian ignored the obstruction of others and forcibly opened the 95th floor. And then, King Huo Tian went crazy. Lying in the black coffin, only the sound of his own breathing echoed in the darkness, and even his heartbeat seemed to have stopped. It was like he was really dead. The crazy King Huo is still waiting. Waiting for the most powerful seeds in the next life. He told his descendants to wake him up immediately if there was news about the most powerful seeds. Even if you lose your longevity, you will continue to torture yourself in the midst of death and chaos, wandering between madness and sanity. King Huotian will also watch the rise of a new generation of powerful seeds. He wants to challenge the strongest seed again. At least, win once. As for winning the strongest seed, Mr. Huo is going to do something earth-shattering. Something a man should do, something he had wanted to do decades ago. The black mist made a way, and figures one large and one small appeared in front of Ye Bai. This journey is not long, but the eyes of young Huo Tianwang are full of vicissitudes of life and emotion. It seemed like he had walked through his whole life before he reached today and walked in front of Shura, the most powerful seed. Xiaoju, stay away. Huo Tianwang put his palm against the back of Xiaoju's head and pushed him aside. Xiaoju looked back 3 times every step, worried. Ye Bai consoled him, don't worry, I won't be beaten to death. Yingju, Huo Tianwang. Please, Xiaoju is not worried about you at all, okay. Xiaoju blushed, held it in for a long time, and said politely. Handsome brother, don't get hurt. Then there is only one possibility, Shura believes that unlimited fighting is more advantageous to Shura. Treating Shura is no exception. The corners of Huo Tianwang's lips curled up, becoming more and more interesting. King Huo Tian raised his right hand and hooked it, signaling the opponent to attack first. King Huo Tian has studied Shura's actions in the Suture Abyss more than once. What? In his impression, Shura was more like a person who planned and acted later. Just that sentence, it was so dangerous, I almost got killed, impressed Huo Tianwang deeply. I am the best in the world, come here. Since Shura proposed unlimited fighting, he must be hiding some trump card. King Huo Tian suspected that he had heard wrongly. Good. During this time, he carefully studied everything Shura had done, and even asked for a record from Xiaolan. Unexpectedly, Shura would propose unrestricted fighting. Ye Bai smiled and nodded, thank you. Master Ju, I have the dark history of Nightmare on the 20th floor, kill him. Huo Tianwang is a person who has his eyes higher than his head, but he respects every opponent. In this case, if the opponent has designed a 3-fight agreement, they should maximize the use of the rules. Translate, what the hell is this unlimited battle? Ye Bai turned to look at Master Ju and whispered. Unlimited fighting? Start now. Ye Bai was already prepared and said directly, fight without limits. Black Mist was also stunned, and soon the classic villain's laughter came out. The moment Huo Tianwang finished saying the word come. Tell me, how will we fight this match? Jajaja. He wanted to see what trump card could make Shura so confident. When does it start? King Huo? He believes that the greatest respect for the enemy is to go all out to kill the enemy. Unrestricted combat means that someone can use the most powerful person's dirty information to invite foreign aid to take action, and it does not violate the rules. King Huo Tianwang was wearing a black short coat and canvas shoes. He looked like a black tiger descending the mountain, with amazing momentum. So what the hell is this called unlimited combat? Ye Bai cupped his hands and said respectfully, Junior Shura, please give me some advice. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 276. Unable to hold back, the knife was taken out of its sheath. Yingju in the black mist slashed forward with a knife in his right hand. A terrifying blade appeared instantly, carrying destructive power and moving forward inexorably. Under the sword's light, everything is dead. Even the space created by Yingju began to shake and disintegrate because it could not withstand the terrifying sword light. Juye's sword can only be described in 4 words. So scary. And then, no more. After the blow, Ye Bai looked at Huo Tianwang who was unharmed, and then at Master Ju in the black mist. Hiss. Master Ju, you have changed your name to Wuhan, right? There are no traces on someone who has been stabbed with a knife. No harm from the fog. Yang Juking coughed twice and said naturally. It's a pity that it was cut crookedly. You guys continue, please remember to send me a copy of the Black Nightmare breakthrough materials for the strongest one. Ju Ye used practical actions to prove to Ye Bai what it means to receive money but not do anything. Ye Bai called him a good guy. Rounding it all off, this material is equivalent to being prostituted by Master Ju for free. However, through Master Ju's previous action, Ye Bai also confirmed another thing. After seeing the knife projected by Huo Tianwang last night, Ye Bai was thinking about a question. What is the relationship between Master Ju and King Huo Tian? King Huo Tian used a knife when he was young, and Master Ju also used a knife. Their sword skills are completely different. Huo Tianwang's sword is ruthless, and his emphasis is on breaking mountains when encountering mountains, slaying demons when encountering them, and moving forward indomitably. Ju's sword is majestic, with a kind of aura that looks down on all the heroes and is proud of the world. A person's personality can be disguised, just put on a mask. Knives don't lie. How dare you get distracted by confronting me? Huo Tianwang roared, his calves suddenly exerted force, and his whole body rushed out like an arrow, leaving after images in place. So fast. He instantly came to Ye Bai and punched him hard. Boom. This punch hit the phantom and shattered it instantly. Ghostly. Ye Bai's true form had long taken the opportunity to distance himself. King Huo Tian snorted coldly and cursed disdainfully. Sneaky stuff, dirty tricks. Obviously, this foul-mouthed king has made no secret of his discrimination against shadow skills. Yang Ju put his left hand on the handle of the knife. He regretted it a little. Just now, Madman Huo was killed with a single blow, without any personal grudge. Forget it, he still wanted to see Thief Son beaten to death by Madman Huo. Crazy Huo can chop at any time. Seeing Thief Son suffer a loss is really a waste of time. Ye Bai's growth rate is amazing. In less than a month, he actually already has the combat power of the God of War. Give him another month, and level 500 will be a sure thing. No, you don't need a month, half a month is enough. Yang Ju returned his attention to the field, where Ye Bai was already in a hard fight. Huo Tianwang punched out one after another, directly smashing all the phantoms, leaving only Ye Bai's body. Ye Bai was not to be outdone. During this period, various spells and skills were bombarded. Thunder. Seeing the terrifying red thunder and lightning about to engulf King Huo Tian, King Huo Tian was not in a hurry. The moment before the lightning struck him, he whispered, "Thunder armor." A green shoulder armor appeared on his left shoulder, instantly cancelling out all lightning damage for him. Before Ye Bai could be surprised, Yang Ju explained slowly. "Did I forget to tell you? Crazy Huo has made great contributions to the human race, and he always charges forward in every battle. In order to show his merit, but, mainly to prevent this old waste from playing himself to death, the strongest nightmare built a set of SSS level battle armor for him. Oh, by the way, lightning immunity is only one of the functions of thunder armor, and it can also reflect lightning damage. Ye Bai. The Eye of Insight gives more useless information. This set of SSS level equipment is not complete. The opponent can only summon up to 6 pieces of armor. This is really cheating, playing with wool. Ye Bai couldn't wait to raise the white flag now. He has a total of 6 professions, and the opponent can summon 6 pieces of armor to be immune to the corresponding damage. Ye Bai instantly put on a mask of pain and couldn't breathe. While Master Ju was sarcastic, the audience was not idle either. Huo Tianwang chased and Ye Bai fled. There was no back and forth between the two sides, only unilateral output. Ye Bai knew it very well. King Huotian is different from any enemy he has ever fought against. Other opponents will suffer losses after being approached by Ye Bai. If Huo Tianwang gets close, it won't be a problem. You can eat directly. Boom. He smashed the newly born shadow with one punch and stepped on the ground with one foot. Countless spider lines spread, and the aftermath blew away the stones. King Huotian roared angrily. Shura, can you only run away? If I say yes, will you stop pursuing me? Brush. King Huotianwang increased his speed to another level and rushed towards Ye Bai again, strangling the opponent's newly created shadow and forcing his true body to reveal himself. Ye Bai's face darkened slightly. Under the opponent's violent attack, it was extremely difficult for him to be able to hold on until now. The reason why it has been able to last for so long is indispensable to Shurahai. Ye Bai discovered that King Huotian couldn't summon the Eternal Sea. Maybe it's because one is divided into 9, but in some aspects, it still costs a lot. The absence of Eternal Sea means that Ye Bai has the home field advantage. This is also Ye Bai's biggest advantage. Shadows and water balls are constantly generated in the space. The former provides Ye Bai with displacement, while the latter provides treatment and damage. Combined with skills such as Wind's no range, Huo Tianwang was unable to capture Ye Bai for a while. While Ye Bai was escaping, he did not forget to counterattack. Wind Fury. Ignite. Wind's infinite distance. Faced with these fancy skills, King Huotian summoned 2 more battle armors. Wind Armor. Fire Armor. Now, he has gathered immunity from the 3 elements of thunder, wind, and fire. There are fewer and fewer ways for Ye Bai to counterattack. Huo Tianwang punched out, shattering the last shadow and heading straight for Ye Bai's body. That's it. It's now. A flash of light flashed in Ye Bai's eyes, the exclusive space opened, and a coffin was thrown out by him. Coffin. Huo Tianwang punched out, directly piercing the coffin. Snort. A roar came from the coffin, and a certain unconscious prince-level vampire ran away with blood all over his body and wanted to fight the enemy in front of him to death. A madman bumps into another madman. The Blood Prince, who was a 4th-level god of war, was thrown out by Ye Bai like a hidden weapon. King Huotian frowned slightly and tried to retract his fist, but was entangled by a suction force. The other party obviously had no intention of letting him go like this. At any other time, Huo Tianwang would have killed the vampire in front of him with just 2 punches. The problem is that King Huo Tianwang has suppressed his level, and there is no Eternal Sea, so he has to worry about Ye Bai secretly. There is no chance to throw 2 punches. Blood Armor. Huo Tianwang roared, and a red armor appeared on his right arm, exploding to the ground. The Blood Prince had no chance to resist and was killed instantly. King Huotian went straight to Shura with Yue Wei. The Angry Sea. The skills Ye Bai chanted halfway could only be released in advance. Countless waves rushed towards King Huotian. He didn't even bother to summon his armor and punched him hard. After each punch was thrown, the punching intention in his body became stronger. The more you fight, the crazier you get, and the more you fight, the stronger you get. Ye Bai's face darkened. This was not a good sign. There must be no tug of war with an opponent in such a state. Since the mage's damage has a limit, then draw your sword. Ye Bai drew out the Heavenly King's sword from his waist. The sword was as bright as snow, and he drew out his sword to face the enemy. Reach for the stars. Wind's infinite distance. Spring rain. Xiaoyan. Autumn wind. Fuiuki. After waiting for a whole game, Ye Bai was waiting for this moment. All things are born. 4 chaos thunders fell one after another, and even the SSS level armor was ineffective at this moment. Chaos thunder fell one after another, but in the sea of thunder, King Huotian stood still like an immortal god of war. Just as Ye Bai appeared on the other side of the battlefield with a figure like the wind, a black shadow suddenly appeared behind him. Dark black thunder and lightning blasted out, hitting Huo Tianwang mercilessly, causing horrific real damage. The thunder will eventually end. The season switched instantly. Ye Bai wiped away all his negative status, and at the same time relied on the effect of Fui Uki to accumulate a sky-high shield. The 4-season cycle, and the thunder of chaos appears. Just for this moment, to kill with one punch. Facing the chaos thunder, he suddenly released his right fist, used his hand as a knife, and swung it forward casually. Ye Bai planned the overall battle. He first showed the enemy weakness and kept pulling. When he saw the end of his plan, he used the Chaos Thunder to save his life and kill the enemy. He's not dead, he can still fight. There is no way to avoid it, and there is no way to retreat. This is the real unlimited battle. Defeat seems close at hand. Obviously, Huo Tianwang deliberately lowered his speed before. With God's support, Ye Bai will not die. Too slow. Plan and then act, plan every step of the way, kill in a sudden attack, succeed in one blow, and escape thousands of miles away. In an instant, the armor collapsed, the health bar disappeared quickly, and Ye Bai was seriously injured and on the verge of death. The flaw was deliberately exposed just to lure King Huo to take the bait. So, you can also save the world. Following this set of procedures, Ye Bai backhanded his sword and slashed it out gracefully. At the moment of life and death, facing 4 chaotic thunders one after another, Huo Tianwang's expression suddenly changed. Chaos thunder. Boom. Turning the sky. Ye Bai asked himself, even if it were him, he might die. Ye Bai's pupils shrank. This move, why did it look so familiar? King Huo Tianwang charged up his punch and struck it hard on Ye Bai's back, causing astronomical real damage. He showed 2 rows of snow-white teeth and smiled at Ye Bai. With a burnt smell all over his body, Huo Tianwang opened his mouth and blew out a mouthful of black smoke. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjia Old Thief. Chapter 277. Facing King Huo Tianwang's soul torture, Ye Bai had only one thought. It's over. He used the Qing Tian Qing, and King Huo Tian also used the Qing Tian Qing. One after another, both sides still have 5 seconds to lock their blood. However, Ye Bai relied on the 2 effects of autumn wind and winter wood produced by all things to increase his blood volume and at the same time obtain a heavenly shield. Coupled with the power of nature's bloodthirst, Ye Bai's upper limit of life has also been greatly increased. In other words, King Huo Tian couldn't kill Ye Bai within 5 seconds. But by the same token, Ye Bai couldn't kill King Huo Tian. Until this moment, Ye Bai had a new understanding of why Master Zhu said that Wan Tianqing is a bad luck thing. First of all, it is quite unlucky when you need to use it to save the world. Secondly, when Wan Tianqing appears in the hands of the enemy, it will be even more unlucky. The battle is not over yet. Ye Bai had long thought that he might not be able to kill him, so he laid an ambush in advance. Before releasing all living things, he calculated the number of times that he would be able to hit the target with perfect accuracy. In other words, Ye Bai's shadow of reincarnation is 100% triggered this time. All things are born. Ye Bai doesn't need all creatures to kill enemies, he just needs to survive these 5 seconds. Autumn breeze. Huo Tianwang paused. His deceleration was equal to Ye Bai's acceleration. Ye Bai tried to distance the 2 sides, but the opponent was like a maggot attached to the bone, sticking to Ye Bai's side and punching non-stop. Boom. When Huo Tianwang's first punch came down, Ye Bai had a response. The thunder spirit is gone. This move can make him immune to physical damage, right? Seeing the moment when Ye Bai used the thunder spirit to become virtual, Yingzhu showed a strange smile and said to himself. Crazy Huo also encountered such an opponent back then, and he was immune to physical damage. Madman Huo was furious and suddenly realized a move. Rage Fist. Huo Tianwang punched Ye Bai in the heart, and Ye Bai felt that his soul had been severely damaged. The soul is crying. Pain. The next second, he immediately lifted the Thunder Spirit's virtual form. It is better to suffer a little physical pain than to suffer such a beating of the soul. Since there is no way to get rid of the other party, Ye Bai will break the jar and throw it, so let's face Mang. Anyway, the second the battle ends, King Huo Tian will be defeated. All Ye Bai has to do is survive the next 3.86 seconds. Boom. Boom. The two of them fought dozens of times in an instant, fighting each other, punching to the flesh, only attacking but not defending. At the beginning, Ye Bai was obviously at a disadvantage. In terms of close combat, 10,000 of them combined would not be enough to defeat Huo Tianwang. Even Yingzhu has no chance of winning if Huo Tianwang gets so close to him. But the problem is, Huo Tianwang was unarmed, and Ye Bai was holding the Tianwang sword. Ye Bai simply didn't do anything, just hit King Huo Tianwang's fist with the Heavenly King sword. Come on, whenever I say I love you I will call you grandson. In this way, Ye Bai and King Huo Tian fought in close combat for 3 seconds. Or, someone was pulled by Euler for 3 seconds. I won't say who it is. Boom. Before the end of both sides' efforts to save the world, Ye Bai was knocked out by King Huo Tianwang's punch. Huo Tianwang burst out with an astonishing momentum, and his energy and blood continued to rise from the bottom. Obviously, he wanted to do it again before the end of Wan Tiancheng. How could Ye Bai, who was flying upside down, be given this chance? Spring Rain. Xia Yan. Chaos Thunder. This time, Ye Bai controlled the rhythm of Chaos Thunder. 4 Chaos Thunders, one after another, are guaranteed to clear King Huo Tianwang's health bar. Not only that, Ye Bai also noticed that due to the continuous battles, King Huo Tian no longer had any armor on him after using the heaven-bending Cheng. Then don't blame him for being rude. In this brief second, Ye Bai used all his skills to hit Huo Tianwang. Rumble. A red light shield blocked all damage. Huo Tianwang's figure disappeared from the place, and the next time he appeared in front of Ye Bai instantly and hit him hard with his right fist. Snapped. Ye Bai instantly turned into a shadow, and the shadow was crushed by King Huo Tian. Shadow in the mirror. In the previous chaotic battle, Ye Bai secretly released the shadow in the mirror and let the shadow hide in the corner, just to save his life at this moment. Reach for the stars. Wins infinite distance. Ye Bai held the Heavenly King's sword, killed a carbine, and instantly came to Huo Tianwang's side and slashed out with his sword. Even though he was plotted again, Huo Tianwang still punched Ye Bai and knocked him away. He lost a lot of blood just by hearing the sound. If it weren't for the extremely high blood limit and shield value, Ye Bai would have been beaten to death long ago. King Huo Tianwang turned his head and looked down sideways, and saw a small cut on his lower back. Ye Bai's sword blow just now took away the last drop of his blood. The surrounding black mist surged up. After Huo Tianwang was completely swallowed by the black mist dispersed immediately. A Huo Tianwang with full blood and health appeared in front of Ye Bai again. Ye Bai, who had multiple soft tissue injuries on his body and perhaps a few broken ribs, looked pale and could barely stand. Although in this battle, Ye Bai won in the end. But he also paid an extremely heavy price. Ye Bai looked at Master Zhu in the black mist, took a deep breath, and said with force, "Breast milk for me too." He also wanted to return to full health. Good. Master Zhu said, drew out his knife, and before Ye Bai refused, he slashed Ye Bai's body with the knife. Ye Bai was chopped by Master Zhu. Seriously, it didn't feel painful at all. I really don't know what those people who cried out in pain after being chopped by Master Zhu thought. Ye Bai closed his eyes and opened them, and he was alive again. This should be a Buddhist sword technique, the kind that is specially used to send people to reincarnation. Ye Bai, who was unscathed, was very satisfied with Ju Ye's treatment. The milk is good, but I won't let you breastfeed next time. King Huotian looked at the lively young man and spoke proudly. You win. Ye Bai didn't know what to say for a moment. Only if you have a real fight with Huo Tianwang will you understand the opponent's terrifying melee suppression power. In terms of pure close combat, Ye Bai has no chance of winning. In this battle, Ye Bai almost showed all his cards, and was almost overturned by King Huo Tian in the end. Danger after danger. And, Ye Bai suspected that King Huo Tianwang had let him go. Since it was agreed that there would be 3 games, there was no need for the opponent to show their full strength in the first game. King Huotian doesn't care about winning 2 out of 3 games, he just wants the strongest opponent and then defeats him. In other words, in this scene, King Huotian is willing to be a whetstone and a stepping stone, just to push Shura to the limit and make Shura stronger. Then, punch him to death again. This is what King Huotian really thinks. Winning the first game with difficulty has already squeezed out Ye Bai's potential. Ye Bai has no idea how to win the next game. This battle alone made him exhausted. He even wanted to go back and fall asleep again, but he didn't even have the energy to review the game. With King Huotian's official certification, the black fog began to slowly gather, and Master Ju's figure was not included in Ye Bai's shadow. Ye Bai looked at King Huotian and asked respectfully. You don't mind if I call? King Huotian nodded, as you wish. King Huotianwang is still a kind-hearted elder when he is not in a fighting state. Ye Bai took out the magical conch and knocked it. Wei 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 wei. Xuemeng's voice came from the other side of the magical conch. Wei 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 wei, can you hear me, Sanjo? Ye Bai was stunned. What 3 articles? There was a sound of jade hitting from the magical conch. A dull voice said, touch. Who is this? Ye Bai looked at the magical conch. Opposite the magical conch, Xuemeng seemed to be open to the public. Eye of Insight is online. Big Demon God, touch. Second Demon God, 50,000. The 5th Demon God, the bar is blurred, and the flowers on the bar are all the same color and touch 6 times. 5th Demon God, each of you must hit me 12 times with all your strength, Huang Liang and Nankei will hit me 6 times each. Ye Bai cleared his throat and said calmly. Obviously, the 3 demon gods are really curious about the answer to this question. They have all paid, you can say that. On the other side of the magical conch, all sounds disappeared instantly. Fortunately for you, Mahjong is played with the devil. I spend a lot of money to let you dive into the first abyss. I am victorious. Even if they spend a little more money for this, they are willing to do so. Can Ye Bai endure this? His face was pale, his hands were shaking slightly, his soul was still wailing, and his body was in tatters. Ye Bai said calmly. Ye Bai nodded. Double. Super double. For a moment, Ye Bai was in a particularly complicated mood. Before Ye Bai hung up, the great demon god spoke again. If you have to think of a way, you have to give the devil a hard blow. I just had a fight with King Huo Tian. The other 3 demon gods couldn't help but praise him, well done. After someone recharged the phone bill, Ye Bai spoke again, the signal seems to have been restored. At last. Fortunately, the magical conch has a voice-changing function, so Ye Bai doesn't have to worry about his identity being exposed. Through the magical conch, Ye Bai seemed to be able to see 1 person and 3 demons raising their ears at the same time. He also wanted to know the answer. Xuemeng asked further. Even just a little bit of information is worth thousands of dollars to them. Asked everyone's thoughts. Double. Xuemeng couldn't hold himself back and asked, what's the result? The signal is suddenly not good, if nothing happens, hang up first. Ye Bai took out two $5 bills, rubbed them in front of the magical conch for a while, and didn't reply immediately. After a while, Xuemeng spoke again. Second demon god, be gentle, don't break the table is worth more than your head. What happened? You were knocked down by 3 punches. Ye Bai, the most powerful seed of the human race, fighting against the top war god of the human race. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 278. I am victorious. The 3 words spoken from Ye Bai's mouth caused the people and demons opposite the magical conch to fall into silence. 3 words, let the demon gods spend 180,000 god of war merits for me. The 5th demon's voice came again, whiteboard. Obviously, Shura will not provide them with any more information. Then it is better to continue playing cards and find a way to make other beings kill themselves early. Menzi, you have shut down the public. I have something private to talk to you about. Xuemeng raised the magical conch to his ear, and Shura's voice came from the other side. Ye Bai said anxiously. The big devil who is making 258 cakes, the second devil is making 13 pieces, the 5th devil is listening to cards worth 50,000 to 80,000, you make a piece of 1 color. After speaking, Ye Bai did not forget to add. How many points do you win in this game? I won't exceed it 90% of the time, right? Xuemeng nodded seriously, okay. After saying that, he naturally hung up the phone and played his cards according to Shura's previous instructions. A few minutes later, Xuemeng pushed the card down. You can only touch yourself in front of the door. What a fool. Let's not talk about Xuemeng playing mahjong in the abyss. Ye Bai looked at the sunny boy Huo Tianwang and said with a smile. Senior, I lied to them. He explained slightly guiltily. Those are demons, very bad. We can't tell the truth to them, otherwise the secret will be revealed. I have to say that the reason Ye Bai came up with actually made some sense. King Huo Tianwang was not a petty person. He waved his hand to indicate that he didn't take it to heart. 3 words, next time I'll do more sure 18 punches. This matter has just turned around. Ye Bai continued. According to the previous agreement, you will set the rules for the next battle. In fact, Ye Bai was ready to admit defeat in the second game. Fighting under the rules set by the enemy. What a joke. Ye Bai never does this kind of thing. What's the difference between that and committing suicide? In case Huo Tianwang said. If you fight 10,000 punches each other, it doesn't matter whether you win or not. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable fighting. After the fight, Huo Tianwang was really comfortable, and Master Zhu was probably very comfortable too. As for Ye Bai not feeling well, no one cares. Master Zhu only cares about himself. King Huo Tian was obviously prepared and came up with his own plan. In the next game, we compete with weapons and kicks. No skills are needed, the level is suppressed at level 1, the attributes are suppressed at 10, and the health bar is unlimited. Wear special protective gear, score points after hitting them, and the one with the highest score wins. Sounds fair. Moreover, after his level and attributes were suppressed, Ye Bai would not be beaten too badly. In other words, you don't have to get beaten in the next game. Woohoo, take off. Ye Bai was about to nod when Huo Tianwang quietly added. Surrender and surrender are not allowed. Bug has been fixed. Ye Bai snorted coldly in his heart, isn't this looking down on me, Shura? Am I the kind of person who would surrender and admit defeat? You can't surrender, right? Then let's start. Can such a thing as a card bug still stump Ye Bai? King Huo Tian continued. If you dare to lie down and be destroyed during the fight, I will show you my true skills and punch you 3 times. Do you still remember the angry punch from before? Ye Bai nodded quickly. Have. It hurts so much. King Huotian was very satisfied with Ye Bai's reaction and continued. If I punch you with all my strength, it will be 10,000 times more painful than an angry punch. That's okay. Giving up on the idea of admitting defeat and showing off, Ye Bai could only accept his fate. Where's the time? Tomorrow afternoon. Good. With that said, King Huotian called Xiaju and was about to leave. Etc. Ye Bai bravely came over and said with a smile. You have finally come out, why don't you go back and stay at home? I paid a lot of money to someone to help you forge an identity, and you are now also a member of the special training camp. Why don't you stay and see what level the new generation of kids are at? You can also take the time to give some guidance. King Huotian hesitated. Xiaju tugged on his sleeves and looked at him eagerly. He was a little afraid of returning to the Eternal Tower. King Huotian touched his head and whispered. Don't be afraid, I'm here. No one will hurt you. After comforting Xiaoju, Huo Tianwang looked at Ye Bai and nodded in agreement. You take Xiaoju to have something to eat first. Okay. Ye Bai pulled Xiaoju out, not forgetting to chat casually with him. Xiaoju, what do you like to eat? Have no idea. Xiaoju, is there anything you want or something you want to do? Handsome brother, can you stop hitting brother Huo? Ye Bai. Sure really can't do it. Xiaoju, please take a closer look. I'm the one getting beaten, okay. The figures, one large and one small, walked away, but Yingju and Huo Tianwang stayed where they were. Clearly, these two have something to say. After walking out of the training hall, Ye Bai stopped. Xiaoju asked doubtfully, handsome brother, why don't you leave? I'm waiting for someone. Ye Bai explained patiently. If the figures are separated for too long, I will die. Regarding life safety, Ye Bai was very careful about it. In the training hall, Huo Tianwang was also very strange and looked outside. Why doesn't Shura leave? That thief is afraid of death. Yingju said coldly, crazy Huo, where is your true identity? The Eternal Tower. King Huotian made no secret and even said provocatively. Laoju, if you have the ability to go in. Jijija. Yingjuyan smiled sadly and said. I can't even enter the Eternal Tower. You loser, but you can't even defeat me. After saying that, Yingju looked outside the training hall, her voice changed slightly. Xiaoju, is that what I thought? When talking about Xiaoju, Huo Tianwang's attitude softened a lot, he was not so irritable, and he gave up his bad mouth. Yes. Yingju fell into silence. King Huotian spoke again. After I die, you take care of Xiaoju. Yingju asked back, join Shadow. No, just let Xiaoju live like a normal person. The Shadow you founded is not a place for normal people to stay. King Huotian paused and continued. You don't need to tell Xiaoju anything about me. You, the old guy hiding in the shadows, should be the best at this kind of thing. Yingju snorted coldly, obviously dissatisfied with what the other party said. Okay, that thief outside has finished eavesdropping. Let's go. With that said, Yingju turned into a black shadow and sank into the ground, returning to Ye Bai's shadow. Ye Bai walked to the cafeteria with Xiaoju as if nothing had happened. Eavesdropping. I, Shura, am an upright person, and I don't even bother to do that. I put my head in and listened openly. After breakfast, Ye Bai returned to the training hall. In the morning, there is a fighting class. The instructor introduced the newcomer to everyone, whose surname was Huo and whose name was Tianyi. Huo Tianyi, a very strange name. But it happened in training camp. It makes sense when you think about it. Huo Tianyi, wearing a black outfit, strolls casually in the training hall, and will step forward to make gestures when he sees an opponent he likes. Then, knocked down with one punch. Wang Zheng came to the rest area with a dark circle under his eyes. Brother Bai, what is Huo Tianyi's background and why he is so strong? While the two were talking, Huo Tianwang punched Lu Sueki's Daipen half to death, then turned and left. The therapy instructor on the side immediately stepped forward to help Daipen treat him. The methods are extremely cruel and frightening. Huo Tianyi. Ye Bai looked at the unruly King Huo, raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and said indifferently. My men are defeated. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 279. One cannot fall twice in the same place. The second Master Ying cannot be beaten twice in the same toilet. Everyone from the SS level talent training camp once again arrived outside the training hall in Area C. The person taking the lead is still the second master. The second Master Ying, who has returned to his original state and is as lively as ever, is very well prepared this time. Listen to me. Ying Eryi's rough voice destroys every man's fantasy about her appearance. What a beautiful woman, but she has a mouth. Second Master Ying said fiercely. I will go to the gym later, and no one is allowed to go to the toilet. I beat that bird leaf in vain, immediately transferred to Rufeng, and headed to Area B to play. Kids, do you understand? Everyone spoke sparsely and said feebly. I understand. With your virtues, how can you join me in rebelling in the future? Second Master Ying spat at them, walked forward boldly, and kicked open the door of the training hall in Area C. The heroic appearance of the bad woman immediately attracted the attention of the audience. The classmates in Area C recognized her, and the crowd was full of whispers. It's Shura. Is that the second master who fainted for no reason as soon as he went to the toilet? Call the doctor first, she might faint again soon. I heard that the demons lurked in the toilet to sneak up on the second master, just to make it impossible for the second master to go to the toilet without any worries. When she heard the rumors, the bad woman's face darkened and her mood dropped a lot. She has been in trouble these past few days and is extremely unlucky, and she doesn't know why. However, the bad woman remembered an old saying. Don't get close to the strongest seeds, you will become unlucky. In the past, bad women really didn't believe it. Bad women are really unfortunate now. Bad man, homophonous joke, deduct money. The bad woman glanced at everyone and thought in her heart. Shura is among them. What is the probability that Shura is Ye Bai? She was thinking about this. The bad man's voice rang in her ears. Nearly 0. The bad woman refused to accept. Why? The bad man sneered. If Shura was so obvious, we would have been killed by Master Ju a long time ago. The bad man added. By the way, I spent 5,000 God of War merit to find out about Zhongshan. He said that Shura cherished his life especially, so it would not be Ye Bai. The bad woman was slightly surprised. Oh? It's rare that you are willing to spend money to do something humane. The bad man is very generous, you're welcome, swipe your card. The bad woman's vision went dark and she almost fainted again. She took a deep breath, calmed down, and said in a deep voice. Who the hell is called Ye Bai? I've been holding back my anger, come out and let me beat you up. Everyone's eyes immediately turned to a handsome guy in the rest area, and they made way for him. Second Master Ying strode up. Hey, you're a pretty handsome guy. Is your name Ye Bai? Ye Bai looked at Second Master Ying and said seriously, hello, Second Master. You have a sweet mouth. I'll give you a gentle beating later. With that said, the second master began to roll up his sleeves. Second Master, wait a moment. Yabai looked harmless and asked. You want to challenge me? The bad woman nodded, yes. Yabai said seriously. According to the rules, you must defeat my defeated generals before you can be qualified to challenge me. The bad woman was stunned. How dare she negotiate terms? You are very brave. It's just a matter of beating a few more people, what's so hard about it? Second Master Ying opened Wushuan today. Even if King Huo Tian comes, she is not afraid. The bad woman nodded, looked around at everyone, and asked loudly. Okay, which one of Ye Bai's men is defeated? In the crowd, Wang Zheng was full of excitement and was about to step forward. This opportunity to fight Shura is hard-won and very precious. He thanked Ye Bai from the bottom of his heart for giving him such a good opportunity. In the entire sea area, there were only two people who really lost to Ye Bai, Feng Dong and Wang Zheng. Before Wang Zheng showed up, Feng Dong shouted at the top of his lungs. Me. Wang Zheng is not the only one who recognizes the value of this opportunity. Feet walked to Wang Zheng and whispered. Feng Dong offered 200,000 gold coins for this opportunity. Wang Zheng suppressed his blush and whispered. I'll pay 500,000. Feet shook his head, Ye Bai said the base price is 1 million. Wang Zheng added money again, I'll pay 200. Make a deal. While the two were chatting, Feng Dong was already fucked by the second master. Before he could even use Eternal Sea, the second master directly kicked Feng Dong away. The bad girl is particularly angry and excited. Cool. This is the joy of torturing food. The bad woman looked at the crowd, full of pride. Who else? Wang Zheng stepped forward and gave his name. Area C, Wang Zheng. Boom. Wang Zheng exited the game and played GG. 2 million gold coins bought a fight that took less than a second. Wang Zheng felt that there was no loss at all. Second Master Ying really wants to say something loudly. Look at you, it's like inserting a bid and selling out. Unfortunately, I can't say. If she dares to kill anyone, Master Ju will be the first to kill her. Shadow, to others, may be a warm and welcoming place like home. For Ying it's more like a cage, a prison. Master Ju is the warden. If you dare to do anything that goes against Master Ju's rules, you will see you again in the next life. Maybe, I will actually be reincarnated as a human being in my next life. Who else? Ye Bai's men were defeated, that's all. The bad woman screamed that she wanted to release all the pressure from these days. The second Master Ying showed his confidence, his style, and his fiery touch. Until a young man in black appeared in front of her. Second Master Ying looked at each other blankly. Brother, have we met somewhere? Well, the toilet. Huo Tianyi raised his fist as big as a casserole and smashed it down hard. The invincible second Master Ying was as simple as a sandbag under this fist. 5 minutes later, a well-trained doctor arrived at the scene and began to treat Yi. It's not a big problem, it's just some flesh wounds. It'll be fine in half an hour. The bad woman lying on the stretcher had empty eyes, a numb expression, and said nothing. 3 days, 3 days in a row. How did she come here these 3 days? I was beaten severely by King Huo Tian every day. Let's not let Ying pass this day. The voice of a bad man rings in the ears of a bad woman. I have good news and bad news. I don't want to hear it, I want to die. The bad man continued. I am 100% sure that Ye Bai is Shura. Otherwise, Huo Tianwang would not be defeated by his men. The bad woman rolled her eyes. Why do you tell me if Ye Bai is Shura? The bad news is that Master Ju is here. The bad man's voice deepened, and the bad woman's expression became a little nervous. The two of them were instantly pulled into a space created by black mist, and the iconic laughter sounded in their ears. Jajaja. Ying Ju said coldly. Do it yourself, I been doing it a lot over the years. The bad man nodded. Indeed, he has been blocked 183 times. The bad woman was shocked. Isn't it 66 times? Where did the extra 117 times come from? While the two were arguing, Yingju glanced at his little black box, which clearly recorded Shadow 2, memory sealed 579 times. After the process is completed, the bad woman and the bad man looked at Master Ju again. Although they don't know what happened. But obviously, his memory was sealed by himself. The next step is to wait for Master Ju's instructions. Master Ju said coldly. You two, go to the first abyss and wait for my order. Lao San will pick you up, and Ying Yi will also go. The great demon god, the second demon god, and the fifth demon god are all in the first abyss, so be careful. After speaking, Ying Ju hesitated and added. The opportunity you have been waiting for may be coming. The bad woman and the bad man fell into silence at the same time, but the boiling of their souls could not be concealed. They have always longed for one thing, to break through level 990 and become the true god of war. What stood in front of them was not upgrade restrictions or monsters. But, Ju yet. If Master Ju doesn't nod his head for a day, Ying 1, Ying 2, and Ying 3 will not dare to enter the Tongtian War God. In a sense, the existence of the top three shadows can be regarded as sharing the same fate. However, Ying Yi has the least regard for strength, while Ying San City Mansion has the deepest regard. Only Ying Yi are clamored every day, wanting to reach the realm of the god of war. At this moment, Master Ju told them bluntly that the opportunity had come. When the bad woman was about to leave, the bad man suddenly spoke. Master Ju, are you planning to go all out? Ying Ju remained silent. The three shadows just stood there. Ying 2 refused to leave, and Ying 9 said nothing. After a while, Master Ju spoke slowly. It's none of your business, get out. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 280. Get out of here, why are you yelling so loudly? The bad woman is gone. Being teased like this by the second master, Area C was filled with happy air. At the same time, the legend of Shura, the most powerful seed, once again occupied everyone's topic. Soon, the entire summer camp was discussing Shura. Have you heard that the second master was beaten by Shura? Wait a minute, isn't the second master just Shura, who beats himself after having a mental breakdown? Stop talking nonsense. Shura's actual surname is Huo, he wears black clothes, and his boxing and kicking skills are very good. He has been under special protection for a long time, and he is training next to the most powerful nightmare. Ah, yes, I also heard that Shuro likes to ambush people in the toilet and beat people. He beat the second master 3 times in a row. I have another rumor here. I heard that Shura is the grandson of a certain god of war. Yabai shook his head after hearing these rumors. None are reliable. Taking advantage of his lunch break, he took stock of his recent gains. After asking me, Mr. Lan sold the travels of Shura in the Stitching Abyss to King Huo Tian for 600 God of War merits. Brother Zhongshan said that second Master Ying asked him and spent 500 God of War merits, but asked for a transfer of 5,000 and an invoice for 5,000. Seeing this message, Yabai couldn't help but take a breath. Bad men are really bad. These two transactions are 1,100 God of War merits, plus Feng Dong and Wang Zhen each contributed 2 million gold coins. Yabai gave half of the 4 million gold coins to Feet as hush money, and kept half for himself. That's 1,102 God of War merits. I only have 405,823.25 God of War merits left in my hand. It's not easy to make some money. After settling the accounts, Yabai looked at Shadow. Master Ju, Your sword strike today was too unreasonable. Yingju snorted coldly. My memory is poor as I get older. I'll chop you up and help me recall my memories. Well, no need to. This is the information on the 20th floor of the most powerful nightmare. While Ye Bai sent out a USB flash drive, he looked at the shadow eagerly. You can't get nothing in exchange, right? Even if he doesn't make money, Ye Bai still feels a loss of blood in his heart. Not to mention, Ye Bai felt like he couldn't breathe after being really taken away by Ju Ye Bai. Well, let me briefly comment on this morning's event. The moment Yingju spoke, Ye Bai took out paper and pen and started taking notes. Your planning was very good from beginning to end, and you even took the initiative and advantage on the battlefield. But Ye Bai perked up and knew the important point was coming. Generally speaking, but you don't need to listen to the previous content. Yingju snorted coldly. If you fight against Madman Huo with your fighting style, no matter how many lives you have, it won't be enough for you to die. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows, obviously not understanding what Master Ju meant. What you are facing is just Madman Huo's fake body, or an obsession. Yingju explained. Crazy Huo wants to fight against the strongest seed, and wants to win against the strongest seed once. Even if I kill this fake body more than once, the fake body will continue to resurrect before the obsession is completed. Ye Bai nodded slowly, indicating that he understood. If Master Ju could get rid of Madman Huo's fake body by himself, he would never ask Ye Bai to take action. That makes sense. Since it is a fake body and an obsession, Madman Huo cannot use the Eternal Sea, and even the use of his talent is extremely limited. Yingju continued. If it is a real life and death battle, remember that Madman Huo who is full of blood is not scary, but Madman Huo who is dying is the most terrifying. After the second awakening, the SS level talent survived 9 deaths without regrets. As long as Madman Huo didn't regret it when he was about to die and could overcome this hurdle in his heart, he would not die. Hiss. Ye Bai felt numb. Isn't this a blood lock? Haha, do you think it feels good? Master Ju was in a good mood today. He saw Madman Huo defeated and Ye Bai was beaten. It was a double joy and he talked more than usual. Every time he was close to death, all the regrets, unwillingness and remorse that Madman Huo had in his life would come to his mind, and he would ask questions about his heart again and again. To explain it simply, every time 9 deaths without regrets is triggered, Madman Huo will eat all the blades he has eaten in his life again. Listening to Master Ju's explanation, Ye Bai fell into silence. If Huo Tianwang was like Ye Bai, he would have had smooth sailing since his debut and never suffered any losses. That's not bad. Ye Bai is equivalent to unconditionally triggering 9 deaths without regrets. Not necessarily, Ye Bai sometimes regrets that he earns too little money, but this is not a big problem. But King Huo Tianwang was one of the earliest strong men in the human race. A group of people became famous in 30 years of bloody battles. They carried the banner and charged at the forefront. The life and death, regret, and pain he has experienced, if he were to put even 1% of it on an ordinary person, he would already be crazy. Only a being like Huo Tianwang, who has extremely tough nerves and an extremely cold mind, can survive to level 995 before going crazy. Ye Bai didn't know what King Huo Tian had experienced in the past 100 years. Look at the casualty rate of the nightmare generation, look at the now half-dead Ju Ye, Xuemeng's biological father whose whereabouts and life and death are unknown. The most powerful person in the human race is still like this. How can the surviving King Huo fare better? Ye Bai took a deep breath and came back to his senses. In other words, my thinking was wrong from the beginning when I actually fought against King Huo Tian. All layouts, plans, and counterattacks, are all useless. The only correct way to deal with Huo Tianwang is to kill him with one move. Right. After saying that, Yingju fell into silence in the shadows. Ye Bai began to think about how he could break the situation. He and Huo Tianwang have 3 fights to fight. Ye Bai won the first game. In the second game, even though the fight hadn't started yet, Ye Bai acquiesced that he had already lost. As for the third game, it is also the most critical one. Ye Bai must find a way to kill Huo Tianwang instantly in order to win. Killing with one strike, easier said than done? Ye Bai needs to think about this issue slowly. Just when Ye Bai was thinking hard, he felt a wave of fluctuations coming from his exclusive space, and his eternal sea seemed to have undergone subtle changes. Thunder and wood materials have been digested. Ye Bai perked up, spoke to Master Ju, left a stand-in puppet on the toilet, and entered his exclusive space. There were constant sounds of thunder over the Shura Sea. The boulders that flew out of the mysterious mine were coated with a layer of light green, and plants took root here and continued to grow. Today's Shura Sea combines the 4 elements of water, thunder, shadow, and wood, and its scale is more than double that of before. When Ye Bai appeared, Master Fool had been waiting for a long time. The furnace can be turned on. According to the previous agreement, she will help Shura reforge the power of nature. If successful, the force of nature has a chance to become SSS level equipment. After investing so much resources and efforts, the last step is left. Probability of success in recasting, 100%. Probability of becoming SSS level equipment, 56%. Is there only a 50% chance? In Ye Bai's heart, it felt like he had failed before he even started. Ye Bai had a hunch that when he got rid of Huo Tianwang's fake body, the other party's real body hidden in the dark would be able to pierce the sky. Before that, Ye Bai must increase his strength as much as possible. The SSS level force of nature is a crucial part of the plan. Ye Bai did not hesitate, handed over the power of nature to the other party, and said in a deep voice, "Open the furnace and recast."